This week's words of the master is the kingdom is like ellipses. Kingdom is like. It's Matthew 13, the whole chapter except for like 3 verses. Mark 4, 1 through 34, and Luke 8, 4 through 18. We are going to look at the words of the Master, where we look at the things that Messiah actually said and the situations that caused him to speak. I want to, because there's so much, I want to kind of just read a little bit at a time, and then we'll just go through it as we look. We'll bring up some of the differences in the various versions where there are differences. For the most part, there's a lot of similarities with just subtle differences, and I tried to pre-look at those actual differences and bring them up. So if we go over to Matthew 13, actually, let's read Matthew 13, 1 and 2, and also Mark. Actually, let's read Matthew 13, 1 and 2, Mark 4, 1 and 2, and then also Luke 8 and 4. Because there are some differences that are here. So we'll just look at all of these, which are actually the same thing, and notice what the differences are. But starting with Matthew 13, 1 and 2.
Okay, Matthew 13, verse 1, parable of the sower. And on that day, Yeshua went out of the house and sat by the sea. And large crowds were gathered together to him, so that he went into a boat and sat down. And all the crowd stood on the beach.
Actually, add 3 to that, sorry.
3, okay. And he spoke to them in much parables, saying, see, the sower went out to sow.
Okay, very good. And also, so actually, when we look at Mark, it also says basically the same thing. But verse 2, he said that he taught them much in parables, just like it says in Matthew. But add Luke 8 and 4 to that.
Luke 8 and 4. And when a large crowd had gathered, and those who were coming to him from every city, he spoke a parable.
Okay, very good. So the differences here, as we look at Matthew, Mark, and Luke, Matthew and Mark talk about the fact that he's here at this place by the sea. There's large crowds, so large in fact that he needed to get some type of different vantage point so that he can speak to all of the people. So he got on this boat that was by the shore where he could talk to the people, basically like a stage. And Matthew and Mark mentioned the fact that he taught, at this time, he taught many parables. He taught many parables. But Luke, talking about the same situation, I guess he basically only focusing on a parable. Maybe he felt like one of these parables in particular was the most important. So maybe he only wanted to just say that he just spoke a parable. But in this particular time, when he's on the boat, on the sea, talking to the people, he actually spoke many parables at this same sitting here. Go ahead.
And this is the second time he got on the boat to talk to people.
I know it's kind of like a thing. Like there's all these people here. You know, you want to see who you're talking to. I guess you know if he's talking, there's a big crowd of people, or he just sees the people that's right in front, but the people behind he can't really see. So he made himself a stage, so he can get up and talk. And I guess maybe I don't know what the acoustics were like or whatever, but you know this is the method upon which he began to speak to the people. And so we want to pay attention to, first of all, because there's kind of a major parable that he's given at this point, which probably is what Luke is referring to, because the other ones that he speaks at this time aren't as, they're not as long per se, they're parables, but they're just shorter ones, I guess. So if you was going to say that there was a main point to this particular talk that Messiah is giving, it's really dealing with the sower. And so let's read Matthew 13. Let's read let's just read to 9.
3 down to 9.
Actually, let's read to 13. Sorry.
Okay. I'll start it over. And on that day, Yeshua went out of the house and sat by the sea, and large crowds were gathered together to him, so that he went into a boat and sat down, and all the crowd stood on the beach. And he stood to them much in, he spoke to them much in parables, saying, See, the sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some indeed fell by the wayside, and the birds came and devoured them, and others fell on rocky places, where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprung up, because they had no depth of soil. But when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered. And others fell among thorns, and the thorns came up and choked them. And others fell on good soil and yielded a crop, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. And the top ones came and said to him, Why do you speak to them in parables? He answering said to them, Because it is given to you to know the secrets of the reign of the heavens, but to them it has not been given. For whoever possesses, to him more shall be given, and he shall have overflowing. But whoever does not possesses, even what he possesses shall be taken away from him. Because of this I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand.
Okay, very good. So actually, let's start here. Actually, we'll go back and deal with the actual parable. But it's interesting that the disciples are like, Master, why are you talking like this? Like nobody even knows what you're talking about. Like, why can't you just make it plain? Why do it got to be like this? And so Yeshua, when he answers them in verse 11, the question that I think about is because he says to them, because it has been given to you, the people that's asking the disciples to know the secrets of the kingdom of the heavens. But my question is, why them? Why them? Why not the others? Right? Why? What's the difference between these people here and the other people who, I mean, because in this situation, you know, they ask here, why is he speaking to them in parables? But they ask later, what does the parable even mean? And so they're the ones that have the secrets, but in this situation, they don't have the secrets. They wasn't given the secrets because they're asking just like the people who wasn't given the secrets are asking. So I'm saying, what's the difference? Oh yeah.
Most people are just here for the show. You know, they come to see what kind of spectacle is going to happen with the miracle or something. They're just there just to, you know, it's like a show to them. They're coming to see the movie. But the other people, even though they don't understand, they're going to seek deeper. You know, they're going to go deeper, like, and ask questions, like, and really try to get an understanding.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And so when you think about the difference here, because on the surface they're the same because nobody knows what he's talking about. But the difference is the reason why he's saying to them that the secrets are given to you is just that. There's a difference between the ones who are just there, because when you think about it, Yeshua, he brings a lot to his situation. You know, he's performing miracles, he's raising people from the dead, he's healing people that you seem unhealable. He's doing all of these things. It kind of is like a show. It's pretty magnanimous, these things that's going on. And if I found out that there was a guy, actually I guess now you can't really say that because from reading the Bible when it talks about the fact that in the end times there's going to be people who's going to be doing all these things. I'm saying if I was like a regular person who didn't know anything about the Bible and there was somebody who was like raising people from the dead, healing people from being blind by touching them, not telling them to take no herbs or nothing, but just like touching people and speaking to people and they're being healed, I probably want to see what is going on.
That's a sold out show right there.
Sold out, right? I'm saying he's going viral immediately. And so there's people that are there who are just there for that. And there's people like the disciples who are actually putting the time in, where they're showing a desire for, you know, Yeshua talking to one of the disciples, I think it's Peter, he's like, I don't understand what's going on. I don't know what he means, whatever he's talking about, drink my blood and eat my body. I don't know what he means, but I'm going to follow him anyway. I just believe him. I just believe. I don't know what he's talking about. So they put the time in for the intimacy. And so that's the difference.
Boy,
Yeah.
I just want your shirt on here for pierogies or something. I'm just here for pierogies.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, you know, I think about, sometimes people don't have the patience to try to understand something they can't understand. So if they're just hearing on top, they don't know what he's saying. The people who aren't real aren't going to want to listen to this too much. They're not going to ask questions. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And so these people who are the different ones, the ones who the secrets are given to, you know, it gives this parable. It refers back to scripture in Isaiah in chapter 14 and 15. Read verses 14 and 15, sorry, in Matthew 13, 14 and 15.
And in them, the prophecy of Yeshayahu is completely filled, which says, hearing you shall hear and by no means understand, and seeing you shall see and by no means perceive. For the heart of this people has become thickened, and their ears are hard of hearing, and their eyes they have closed. Least they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, least they shall understand with their heart and turn back, and I heal them.
Okay, very good. So the people in their disobedience will never hear or see or understand, because your sin or your failure to deal with your sin will always hold you back. Okay, your sin or your failure to deal with it is going to hold you back. So it's not necessarily that the ones who the secrets are revealed to, not because they're blind or deaf or lacking, do they not understand. They have faith in Messiah, and they have a desire by faith to learn and grow and to follow after Messiah. So, they care enough to even ask, Master, what does that mean? Right? And so there's a difference with the audience that Messiah is speaking to, and he understands that, and he's not giving out all of the secrets. He's not telling you all of the things. He's not putting all of the things out. Like, this is, you gotta be a, you gotta be a Patreon member in order to get the secrets.
Yeah,
He'll give you the general stuff,
right.
but you need to have, it don't cost money, but it costs time.
Yeah,
It costs dedication. It costs for you to go the extra mile to want to know what's behind all of these things that he's doing. He don't just give you all of the things for nothing. He requires for the people to have something on the situation. He's not just giving this stuff out for free. You gotta pay for it in some way.
right.
If that way is just you putting that extra time in, that's what it's going to be, and that's what he requires. He's not just making it plain for the people. He's making them have to look and see. And so, okay, so there's that part of it down at the 10 through 15 part. But if we go back to what he's actually saying over here with the parable,
We got a question.
what is it?
It says, does that mean they don't have the spirit of Yah in true understanding?
Well, when you think about, when you think about the Spirit, Yeshua is working towards the place where the Spirit is poured out to all people. And so at this point in general, you're not talking about people who are necessarily Spirit-filled, because this is what it is that Messiah is working to do. Like, his task on earth is to send the Ruach HaKodesh. And so you might have individuals who the Spirit moves in, that we see throughout the historical record and the scriptures, that the Spirit moves in and through. But the idea of someone being filled with the Spirit is something that we didn't get to that part yet. That part didn't happen yet at this time. That's what Messiah's working to do. But what he's requiring of these people is to still be able to have faith in what it is that he's doing. And so you see the difference is between the ones with faith and the ones without faith is, as I said, the disciples, they're following Messiah everywhere. Wherever he's going, that's where he's going. They drop their whole life off and they're following after him because they don't know the secrets, but they know that he got the secrets. And if they stay with him long enough, they'll get him too. And so the people, I don't know even that Messiah even needs for the people to understand, because his own disciples don't understand, but he does in fact desire for the people to have a desire to understand. And some of them have it and some of them don't. The ones that don't are just there to see what he's going to do next. I don't know if that answers your question. Okay, so I want to go down. So we see what it said in Matthew. I want to go over to, I want to go down to, let's see. Oh no, that is Matthew. Okay, go down to verse 16.
And blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear.
Read down to 19, sorry.
For truly I say to you, that many prophets and righteous ones long to see what you see, and do not see it, and hear what you hear, and do not hear it. You then hear the parable of the sower. For anyone, when anyone hears the word of the rain and does not understand it, then the wicked one comes and snatches away what was sown in his heart. That sown by the wayside.
Okay, very good. So Yeshua begins to give some understanding as to what it is that he's talking about. First of all, when we look at 16 and 17, he brings up the fact that he's kind of speaking kind of parabolically, even as he's talking about, as he kind of gives his kind of rebuttal to the verse that he brings up in Isaiah, saying that the fact that, people aren't able to see, they're not able to hear, they're not able to understand, but blessed are the ones who are able to see. And by the way, the reason why they are able to see, because Yeshua actually gives the illumination to those that are putting that time in.
Yes.
Right? And so he's letting the people that are able to hear, audibly hear what he's saying. He's telling them, you're seeing something that the prophets of old talked about. He might as well just said, I'm the Messiah. That's what he might as well had just said real quick. But he said it, what he said over here. The people for generations, the people who spoke these prophecies, and all those people before up until now have been waiting to hear the things that I'm about to say to you and have been saying to you. They've been waiting for me. Like he's putting himself on a particular level, right? And then he does that, and then now he gets into the parable. He just kind of sneaks that in, right? Hold on, what did we say over here? What's up with the?
Oh, we got a couple.
What's that say?
Verses? Deuteronomy 29:29 says, "The secret things belong to Yahweh our God, but the things that are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law."
Very good. Yeah. What's some verses say?
1 Corinthians 13:9-12. It says, "For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is complete has come, then that which is partial will be done away with."
Okay, it's interesting when you think about this, because this is an interesting verse when you think about Paul talking to the Corinthians about the way that the Spirit moves and works. Because with the Spirit, with the indwelt Spirit, you prophesy still in part. And then it takes other people now also to come and even interpret what you said. What you said. You prophesied it, and it could take somebody else who didn't prophesy it to even bring understanding to what you said, potentially. And that's what this thing is, that's how it was made to be until that time when everything is actually fulfilled. You know, people talk about the new covenant and they look at Jeremiah 31 and they say, well, if the covenant is here now, then it says right here that no man shall teach you. And so somebody still got to teach me, so it must not be here. But
Or they say that they don't know anything. They know that one verse and they say nobody can teach me anything.
well, it depends on their perspective of when they believe it is. If they believe in a type of fulfillment of the new covenant, well, I got the Spirit, so I don't need no man to teach me, because it said right there, no man can teach me. Or they could say that the covenant hasn't been fulfilled because of the fact that somebody still got to teach me. But when we think about this verse over here, it's talking about somebody with the Spirit, prophesizing, and yet they still prophesy in part. And what's that other verse, 12 say?
12 says, for now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I will know fully, even as I was also fully known.
Okay, so there's more to come. And so these verses are good because it's going to go into some of these further down points in this sower situation. But let's come back to that thought and let's go over to 19, right? So 19, he's breaking down this parable, and he's saying when anybody hears the word of the kingdom and doesn't understand, the wicked one comes and snatches away that was sown in his heart. This is sown by the wayside. So that was the first thing that he said. When he just throws seed, the sower is sowing the seed and he throws it and it falls by the wayside. Look at that word wayside. Because we want to talk about this one who hears the word of the kingdom and don't understand. I'm trying to figure out why he don't hear it. This one is described by the seed falling by the wayside. Why doesn't it land on any soil? Why doesn't he understand? Why is the opportunity for the wicked one to even be able to come and snatch it away? What's that word mean, wayside?
It says a road by indication of progress, the route, active distance, figuratively a mode or means, journey, highway.
Okay, so it's a road, it's a path, it's it's the parkway. There's too much going on the road. The road, the wayside, it's a broad way. It's broad. Everybody's there. Everybody's on the road. Everybody's on the parkway. Everybody's backed up in front of the Squirrel Hill tunnels. And there ain't even no lights there. Inbound. Why is it backed up inbound? I can see outbound. You got that coming from Hazelwood right there, or whatever that is. You know, got the on ramp that's right by the off ramp. They're all right there. I can see why that could be backed up. But inbound, why is that backed up? There's no lights there. Everybody's there. Everybody's there, there's distractions. Oh, there's a crash right there. What they doing? Somebody get hurt. You're supposed to be driving. There's distractions all over the place. If you're on the parkway, you're not at the destination. You could never be on your destination on the parkway. You're going somewhere. You're not where you're supposed to be at. You're going somewhere. You're busy. You're going somewhere. You're going anywhere. You're going everywhere. So when you think about the idea of the wayside, you're not thinking about anything. I don't know what you're thinking about. You're not thinking about where you're at. You're thinking about where you're going. You're going somewhere. You're busy. You're distracted. And so when something of substance comes and you're going somewhere, how you gonna know? I try to talk to a certain person sometimes and they just be doing stuff. And I be trying to talk to them. They don't know what I be saying. Cause they too busy doing stuff. You can't know what somebody's trying to say to you if you're doing something else. If you're going somewhere, you're distracted. So Messiah talks about that soil, that wayside soil, as they hear, like they audibly hear, but they don't know what's going on because they're not there. They're thinking about where they going, right? That's that wayside.
I got a scripture for that.
Go ahead.
Psalm 46 and 10. It said,
You got that up on the screen there?
It said, "Be still and know that I am Elohim. I am exalted among the nations and exalted in the earth." If you ain't being still, you can't hear nothing. You always, all this stuff going on, and
Yeah, you gotta like focus. There's no focus. Like you're not focused. There's things, there's distractions. Like if you really want to know what's going on, you gotta zone in to the situation. And this wayside that he's describing is the wayside, it's the progress. It's the road. Like when you're on the road, you're not where you're going. You're going there, right? That's not the place. Okay, so let's look at 20 and 21.
and
Matthew, whatever our chapter is, 12, 13, 20 and 21.
And that sown on rocky places this is he who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but is short-lived, and when pressure or persecution arises because of the word, immediately he stumbles.
Okay, very good. So now we're talking about, this is some place that maybe there's some soil here. There's some soil here, but there's rock. It's rocky. It's rocky soil. Right? It's that place in between. It's that place in between the two spots on the concrete where the seam is. Where you got a bunch of dirt that has accumulated in there and something fell in there and then something even starts to grow in there. And that thing has grown. It got leaves, it got flowers on it. It grew. But as soon as you come past there with the broom, you could sweep the whole thing out of there. Because it's concrete, it's just a groove. Like the concrete is whole right there, they just cut like a little groove into it. It don't go all the way down. You just got an accumulation of soil there. Right? There's not an ability to be rooted, is what it says. There's no root there. And so it immediately receives it with joy. It works. It grows, right? But whenever there's pressure, whenever you come out with the hose and you turn that hose on and you push all that dirt away, it pushes that little flower thing away, that weed away too. Because there's no root. And so this here is see, there's no perseverance with this one. It's not real. Like they're there and they're doing things, but when trouble comes, they out of it. Right? Because this thing is superficial to that one. This one on the rocky places, those rocky places, that's superficial. That's logical, it's mental, it's in your mind. You're just doing this mind thing. You're doing it with your strength. It's philosophical. Right? It's not spiritual. It's carnal. Right? They still got that heart of stone. They do the things until there's pressure. And then they fall off. Look at Luke. Luke gives us some extra words. Luke 8. Let's see, what is it? Luke 8 and 6. What does that say?
Luke 8:6, and he commanded the crowd to sit down on the ground, and taking the 7 loaves.
Hold on, what's that? What's that you reading?
You said 8 and 6?
Luke 8 and
All right, further down.
6.
Oh, I'm on Mark. I'm sorry. My bad. That was me.
Don't worry.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, that's why we was paying attention on it.
Because I'm like, let me read this again. I'm like, that's not what we talking about. Luke 8 and 6. And other fell on rock, and when it grew up, it withered because it had no moisture.
It don't got no moisture. Right? There's no moisture there. There's something missing. There's no water. There's no spirit. Right? It's carnal. There's no spirit. There's no moisture. Remember when we looked at the demons being cast out into the dry places. They like the places that's dry. They don't like the places that's moist. Like the moisture is the spirit, right? And so that's these rocky places. And so we see over here with this other soil that has these rocks, and the place is not, there's not a lot of soil, it's just a little bit of soil. There's no root and there's no moisture. That stuff is temporary, it goes away.
We got a couple comments on,
What is that?
wayside equals not understanding. Might this put the accountability on the one sowing seed?
Hold on, where you,
She took it. Okay. Here we go. This one. Otis says, does that mean just as don't hearken to your own understanding? Like, does that mean just the same as don't hearken to your own understanding?
well, we won't hearken to our own understanding, right? We'll hearken unto the understanding that comes from the Most High. But these people over here, they're not understanding, understanding, because we're talking about the seed, which is the word of Elohim, right? And so there's not a full understanding of the word. If there was, there would be perseverance. But this is a temporary perseverance. It's only dealing with like the happy parts. It's only dealing with the good parts, right? The pleasant Like there's no, this one is, as it said, there's no perseverance. Once there's pressure, once there's persecution, it stumbles. Okay, so there's a lack of understanding, and they probably are dealing with their own understanding, because that would be that superficial, that would be that kind of just logical, kind of just working it out in their mind kind of a thing. But this thing that we, best case scenario, are looking for is dealing with the spiritual part that is, that good soil, which we haven't looked at yet here. So let's go back to Matthew 13 and look at 22.
Excuse me. Matthew 13, 22. And that sown among the thorns is he who hears the word, and the worry of this age and the deceit of riches choke the word, and it becomes fruitless.
Okay, very good. Now this soil is interesting, because really when you think about this soil here, it's good ground. This is good ground because stuff be growing in this ground. The stuff you want grow, and the stuff that you don't want grow in there too. Right? It's fertile. So the thing that's actually sown in there grows, but there's also some other things that's growing in there that's sucking up all of the nutrients. Right? And so there's too many things over here. Too many things are being allowed to grow in this place where the thorns is. There's too many things. And so the thorns is going to kill the good things. And it's interesting, why don't the good things kill the thorns?
Too soft.
I mean,
But it just not be its time yet for the good things to kill the soft. If everything is related to a time and it's comparative to a time, he is the good thing. So couldn't we compare that good thing to him? It's not time yet for his return.
but
Could it be that?
it must not be time. But I'm just saying in general though, can't the good things like overpower the thorns? Like the thorns, like why? So the idea is that there's these other things that are growing along with the things that he has sown, and he's calling these things the worries of this age and the deceit of riches, and they're choking out these thorns, these things that these worldly concerns and ideas that are connected to the world are growing together with this seed that was sown by the sower, the things that are about life. And so these things that are about life are being choked out by the things that are, we can say, that are about death. And so I'm just saying, why can't I guess this is the only thing that we could say is that it's not time. I guess, but it just seems that in math at least, the positive cancels out the negative.
That's our math. He has no different.
I mean, when you think about it though, math these things are divine, aren't they? Math is it just is. It's just like something it's just what it is. If I have two things, that's what it is. It's not philosophical. It's just I have this thing and I have this thing. So I got two things. Like it's like these undisputable ideas. Like if I drop this, it's gonna fall. Like it's an undisputable idea. And so with this thing here, when we think about the fact that we have this good thing growing, this bad thing is always going to take over the good thing in this scenario here that's given with this thorny ground. it's good ground, but these other things are coming in, and he describes the things as these worries of this age are choking out. So maybe if we're saying it's the worries of the age, maybe I'm paying more attention to the thorns than the good things. And I'm good.
Well, I think that, if you think about, the theme of the scriptures, it's like only a few are gonna make it. It's like, going through the eye of a needle, and, it's this small, this straight path, and many are on the wide path, so it's like the thorns are just like so many of them. You know what I mean? That you got
It's
this
a numbers,
one
so it's a numbers thing.
It's a numbers thing. And so, and plus, if you think about, us, we're like sheep. We're like docile, and we lack knowledge, most of them, and, and the wicked they're wise. And they're violent. And they're
Geniuses.
You know what I mean?
Genius. Go ahead. Hold on, you calling the wicked wise?
The wicked are wise.
Oh, but they ain't
in the
Jesus.
ways of the world.
Hold up.
In the ways
I gotta
of
bring
the
that
world,
back up.
they are wise.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? And so they know about, all the goings and comings.
Yeah. Yes. And it's so, it says that the deceit of riches. The deceit of riches. So they're bringing some things, there's some misunderstandings, some trickeries going on with deceit. It's like there's something is deceitful. It looks right. Wrong. It looks right though.
Shiny.
Oh yes, the deceit of riches. Riches are shiny. They're shiny. They look nice. They're beautiful. They're desirous. But these things choke out the word and cause the words to become fruitless. And so there's some kind of a mixture there, which it goes into another parable that so I don't want to talk too much about the mixture, but there is this extra thing that's going on that's causing the good ground, this good fertile ground that's there to be fruitless. And to a degree, it is a time thing. And we see that when he talks later about the wheat, but we didn't get to that part yet. Okay, so 23, verse 23, Matthew 13:23.
And that sown on the good soil is he who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30.
Okay, very good. So now we have various degrees of fruitfulness, but no matter what that degree is, it's counted as good. Now, when you think about this good soil, this soil is void of those other things. It's void of the thorns. It's void of the rocks. It's deep, right? It's deep soil. It's a cultivated soil. This soil has been cultivated. Like if you out here gardening, you understand that you're not just going to your grass and putting the seed like in the grass. Like you got to dig that stuff out. You got to get the rocks out. You got to get the big chunks out. Right? Because the soil got to be fluffy. It got to be like movable. It can't be tight. The roots got to have room to stretch out and move in there. So the soil got to get beat up. It got to get beat up. You got to get You gotta get your shovel and you gotta dig it up. You gotta get your hoe and you gotta break them big chunks up. You gotta get your rake and smooth all that stuff out. It don't talk about all of the things that's involved in the good soil, but when it puts it with these other things, the understanding is that the good soil is void of thorns. It's void of rocky places. It has moisture because the other ones didn't, right? It's actually a soil that's dedicated to receiving the seed, not like the wayside. So it's a place that's dedicated to receive seed. The rocks have been removed, moisture has been added, and all things that are not actually put in that soil, thorns, and so on and so forth, are removed. And so all of these things take work to be done.
That's the key.
It don't just magically happen.
And who's doing it? It's an individual basis.
Well, the thing about it is, right? The thing about it is now we could go back and think about these verses over in 1 Corinthians stuff. We can go back to these verses in 1 Corinthians where it's talking about individuals only having things partially. We could go to verses like in Ephesians where it talks about the whole body coming together for the perfection of the saints.
Yeah.
We're able to be cultivated by one another. The way that the rocks and the water and the removal of these other things happens is by us participating in the cultivation of one another.
Ephesians 4:16. I put Ephesians. It says, "From whom the entire body, joined and knit together by what every joint supplies, according to the working by which each part does its share, causes growth of the body for the building up of itself in love."
If you don't got those things, I don't know how the soil get to be good. I don't even know how I get to be good. I don't even know because, you know, if you're the soil, you can't see your whole self. You can only see parts of yourself, the parts that extend out from you. Even the part that you look at, it look different in your own eyes than it do when somebody got the full view of you. You got a particular perspective of yourself, but somebody else got a full perspective of your whole self. I've never seen my back. I've never seen my back before. Never seen it. Even when I'm looking at it, I can only see as much as I can turn around, and my neck don't go but so far. If I'm looking at a mirror, I can't get it right to like see. I don't know what my back looks like. On video, I see myself on video. I stand kind of weird a little bit the way that I'm stand. I can't know unless I see a video of it. I need somebody to tell me what it looks like. I need to tell me somebody to say what that thing is over there. I need help with the cultivation of myself in order to allow for the soil to be good. Or else it's gonna be parts that I'm lacking in. When I look at my soil in my bed, that flower bed can't do nothing for its own self. It needs outside stimulation in order to be able to make it be good soil. I can't just go and put the stuff in the box and that's it. I got to put the stuff in the box first of all. But then I gotta put the nutrients in there. I gotta get the right mixture. I gotta find out what my acid situation is and my pH balance and all that. If it ain't right, I gotta add stuff. I gotta take stuff away. By nature of this whole even situation here is something where you're talking about the soil, and no soil is self-sufficient. No soil is self-sufficient. And so we should remember these things when we're thinking about the master is giving us these parables. What is he saying? He tells you the results of the good soil, but he don't really talk about how the soil get to be good directly. It's a parable, right?
Yep.
But we can know that whatever that good soil is, it don't include them other things that he had previously mentioned, the thorns and the rocks and the intention, right?
You got a comment here.
What do that comment say?
Says, in all of these instances, it seems to be important for the sower to assess the ground being sown in. Apple, palm, and olive trees need different types of soil to thrive.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very good. Yes, and so when you think about the sower is throwing seed. The seed is a word of Elohim. Who's the sower? Question mark.
Word,
Huh?
word.
No, the seed is the word.
I'm saying.
Who's the sower?
It could be us.
Huh?
It could be us.
It could be. It could.
Oh, right now.
Is it or isn't it? I wonder if it is or
I
if it
mean, right
isn't.
now.
You said could be, like hypothetically could
Well, I'm
be.
saying it was him at
At
that
that
time.
time, it was
It was
Yeshua.
him, but
Right.
now it's with the Great Commission.
Disciples.
The disciples and stuff.
Yeah. So he
Whoever
did it.
sees-
He did it first. Then he taught the up and comers what to do, and then they did it. And then they come all the way down to whoever's keeping it going, and then you do it. And so, yeah, the sower, the great sower, the grand architect, the supreme sower is Messiah. Yes. But when we talking about this now, moving this forward up into our situation, guess what? You the sower. First you was some soil. And then somehow from soil you became a sower. It's crazy. You was transformed from soil into a sower. Right? You might be a sower and soil at the same time.
I was gonna say that, don't get it confused, when you sow your seed, you're not throwing it on the wayside, you're not throwing it on bad ground, that's the people. The people are bad ground, the people are the wayside. You know what I mean? So it's not that Yeshua was out there just like throwing stuff in the sky, no, he was throwing it at the people, and the people were those things.
Yeah. And again, when you think about it, with this whole parable, with this whole idea of him speaking in parables, he's operating as a sower, and he's throwing it, and the way that they're receiving it is determining what they are.
Right.
If they are wayside, if they are, but the picture is a guy who's just like, when you think about planting a garden, like you got your thing and you've already made your rows and you got your bag of seeds and you're putting it, right? But the imagery that he's giving is this seed is going, and then wherever it lands is where it lands. But the reason he's talking to his disciples, like, why are you talking like this? But he's telling them, I'm talking as if I am a sower who's just throwing seed. And then the ones who want to be good soil is going to receive it, and the ones who don't want to be good soil ain't going to receive it. Because the only difference between the listeners, the understanders, the seers, and the non-seers and the non-understanders, the only difference is who wanted to have the seed.
I'm lost.
Huh?
I'm lost.
Uh-oh.
All right. So
Okay.
when you're saying the sower, Yeshua is the sower. He's throwing the seeds.
Yeah.
The seeds are coming out. They're dropping some are dropping where he wants. Some are dropping, falling by the wayside. And where those seeds plant themselves will determine what. That's where I'm off at. So, what is it?
Okay, so he
Once
begins,
plants,
where he begins at with the disciples asking, why are you speaking in parables? And he said that to you was given the secrets, right? However, they didn't have the secrets because they was asking, well, what do the parable that you said even mean? So that puts them really in the same category as the other people. So they're exactly just like the other people, except they had a desire to actually know what it was that the parable meant, which made them which is what differentiated them from the other ones. So they're exactly the same, right? They're exactly the same, but they wanted to know what it was that he was meaning. And so they had a desire to have an understanding, which the other ones where they kind of did.
That's what made them look good.
That's what made them be different. And so it put them in another category. Again, this is all just a parable, but when you think about what it all means, it kind of showing you what is actually going on. So he's speaking in parables, and when you kind of visualize what he's doing, he's throwing his words out. But is depending on where it lands, is actually showing what kind of soil that is that it's landing on. Because some people, the seed landed on them, but they wasn't really paying attention to it. They didn't really care. They didn't want it to grow. So they was acting like the wayside, right? But the person that was standing right next to them had a desire for that seed to grow. And they was just like that other one, but they had a desire for the seed to actually grow. And so the way that you receive the seed determines, what kind of ground you are. And so it's like he's literally walking out this parable in what he's doing and how he lives. Like his whole ministry really is just throwing seed where it's almost like willy-nilly. Really. Because everybody's there. But everybody's not going to believe it.
Whosoever will.
Yes. So the imagery is just the sower reaching in his bag and tossing it, and it just going wherever it goes. But in reality, understanding that the Most High knows who will receive and who won't receive, and thinking about the fact that we all have the ability to freely choose what it is we want to do with our free will. There's not really being a difference in persons, but again, the difference is who wants and desires to walk in a certain way.
So could you use that also, the parable they say that he foreknew you before the foundation of the earth. So he knows knows what you have already decided.
Yes,
So
before you
that-
decided it.
Right.
Before you know, he
Before
knew.
you knew, he
Yeah.
already knew it, so he's now just pulling that, which he already knew.
He-
You already made the
yes,
choice.
yes.
He already pulled what he knows.
He threw the seed in your direction knowing you would pick it up, but there's somebody next to you who ain't gonna pick it up,
And it's the
but it was really for you anyway. Even though he threw it over there.
But that person that didn't pick it up can never say, you ain't throw no seed at
It
it.
was right there.
Right there.
It was right there.
I didn't understand it though.
Because you didn't want to. That's the difference, because the disciples didn't understand it either. But they had a desire to understand it.
But was it the desire or was it the knowledge and the belief that the Messiah was coming? Because remember, they believed that he was coming.
Well, from a cultural standpoint, they really all had that understanding that Messiah was coming. In fact, he mentions it. He said, everybody from now was waiting for me to get here.
Right.
So from a cultural standpoint, everybody knew that a Messiah was coming, but not necessarily that he was the one.
Yeah. They didn't
Knew
accept
it
it.
was coming, but
They knew somebody
most
was
of them
coming.
rejected.
Yeah, they didn't want to accept it.
Okay, let's drop down because there's some other things I want to talk about before we before we run out of time here. Go down to Matthew 13 and 24. Matthew 24, read from 24, 13, 24 to 30.
Another parable he put before them, saying, the reign of the heavens has become like a man who's sowed good seed in his field. But while man slept, his enemy came and sowed darnel among the wheat and went away. And when the blade sprouted and bore fruit, and the darnel also appeared, and the servants of the master of the house came and said to him, Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? From where then does it have the darnel? And he said to them, a man, an enemy did this. And the servant said to him, do you wish then that we go and gather them up? But he said, no, least while you gather up the darnel, you also uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And at the time of harvest, I shall say to the reapers, first gather the darnel and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my granary.
Okay, very good. Now we think about this idea of timing. We think about the wheat and the tares. Right? The Most High came, the sower came, and he put seed where he wanted it to be at. So now again, we're thinking about, first we have this picture of the seed, the sower just throwing seed. But now he gives this other thing right behind it, talking about this sower. He put seed where he wanted it at. He's doing both things. He's throwing the seed, but he's putting it where he wants it to be at. Right? And then some other guy comes along and then he put his stuff in my yard to grow. But the sower was like, well, just let the stuff grow there. And then harvest time, we'll worry about taking it out. Because if I tear it up now, it's gonna mess up my stuff. So I'll just let them grow together. Right? And so that's our situation, right? But these tares, as it says in the scripture, this darnel.
I say that word. I was like, oh,
It looks like wheat.
yeah. They say it's poisonous to man, though.
It looks like it, but it ain't it. It's fake. It's false. Pseudo. Right? It looks like it, but it ain't it. And so, sometimes even to the sower, it might be indistinguishable until the fruit comes. And so you kind of have to let them grow together just to make sure that you ain't pulling up the wrong thing. You know, I was watching this young guy on Instagram. He's this young guy, and he goes out and he finds all of this stuff out in the woods and stuff. And one time he was talking about this little flower-looking thing that it looked like something that I got growing wild in our back alley. But then he says, well, it looks like this one thing, but you gotta look for these little distinguishing characteristics that it has over here. Like, so if you like a real like botanist, you could know all of the different like things, but you got these pseudo things that grow and look just like a good thing. Even like a sticker ball bush. I don't know what they really are.
You should have, what's his name, Drainer here to talk.
I know he know about all that stuff. He's a real botanist. Drano is. But like a sticker ball bush, until that thing come out, it could look like a nice little plant. It got a little flower on it, but when that flower bursts, it's a big old ball of thorns. Like a ball of thorns. It's a sticker ball. I don't know what it technically is, but it's just, if you in the city, you know what I'm saying, you know when you get to the little woods area or, you know, overgrown situation, you know where the sticker balls is at. But as it's growing, it could look like a nice little plant until the fruit comes, until harvest time comes. And so this is what Messiah's over here is saying is that he's talking about the kingdom of heaven, right? He's talking about the kingdom of heaven. So he's likening these agricultural situations to the kingdom. And saying that these good seeds that have been sown, that good seed that has been sown in you, that good soil, right next to that thing growing is this bad thing that somebody else came and you're gonna have to grow right next to this thing until harvest time. And when harvest time comes, the reapers is gonna come and they're gonna get rid of that. But they ain't pulling it all up until it's time for everybody to get pulled up. And so you gotta sit up here and be with these tares, with these darnels.
What is that sounds like somebody.
Yeah, with these darnels.
Yeah, darnell.
That's something that it just creeped right into my what's the place where you put words at? Into my lexicon. Darnels. Y'all are messing with these darnels. That just became derogatory to me, that word.
Darnells.
That's so
You know
funny.
some Darnells too.
I know a whole bunch of darnels, boy, I tell you what. But the idea is that we live in this place where we can exist in a perfect situation, in a bubble, apart from things that is contrary to us. And the Most High ain't going to remove us from that until the harvest time. Let's see here. All right, drop down to, let's see, that was 30. Drop down to 31 and 32. Read that for us.
Another parable he put before them, saying, the reign of the heavens is like a mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is less than all the seeds, but when it is grown, it is greater than the plant and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the heaven come and dwell in its branches.
Okay, very good. So he talks about this mustard seed, this little tiny seed. Now things switch up now, because again, these are parables. You start talking about the seed, and the seed is really the word of Elohim. But Then now we talking about this seed that he sowed, and then now this seed grows and become a tree, and now this seed that was the smallest thing that there is has become this big, full-grown thing. I don't know. Maybe it didn't switch. I don't know. What do you think the seed? What do you think the mustard seed is? You think it's the same?
You was just, grinding up.
I know it was. I did some stuff yesterday. It's kind of irrelevant, but the relevant part is that mustard seed is in fact a little thing.
Kind of big.
Actually, the seeds that mustard seeds, I want to say that's really the fruit, not the seed. You can't take that, I don't think, and plant it.
That part?
I don't think so. I think the actual part you plant is different, but it's still tiny. It's still a little thing. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. Somebody could fact check me on that. But the point is that this small thing that is sown becomes, it is planted, and it grows and becomes this thing that is a place, this tree, a place where the birds of the heaven come and dwell in its branches. You know, we see later Yeshua talks about faith as a mustard seed. This thing that starts off as something it's the smallest thing that could be, right? But that thing, when it's planted, can grow and become this big, strong thing that's solid, right? In a place where it's a tree that's substantial, right? I wanted to drop down. Let's.
Put the scripture on there.
It says, then shall two be in the field, and one shall be taken, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Matthew 24.
Yes. Very good. So that's the same thing as the idea of wheat and tares. He said he's going to come first and get rid of these darnels. And he's going to put them all up in a bundle.
Hey, why they write that in there,
They
man? They should have put the Greek word or something like.
He's going to come get these darnels out of here first. And then once they've done that, then he's going to come back for the harvest, right? It's the same thing we see over here in these verses, right?
That's messed up.
Okay, I want to go down to, I want to lastly talk about, I want to look at, let's see. Oh, okay. Drop down to, let's look at 36 through 43. Matthew 13, 36 through 43.
Then, having sent the crowds away, Yeshua went into the house, and his taught ones came to him, saying, explain to us the parable of the darnel of the field. And he answering said,
Hold on 1 second. I just want to say that the disciples, the top ones, don't know what he's talking about. When he says, when he brings up the tares.
Yes.
But they want to know what he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
It didn't befuddle them where they said, I don't care what this guy crazy, I'm out of here. They wanted to know, right? Okay, go.
And he answering said to them, he who is sowing the good seed is the son of Adam, and the field is the world. And the good seed, these are the sons of the rain, but the darnel are the sons of the wicked one. Hey, this version, man, using darnel like that. They keep getting me. It is lowercase, and I think Darnell, they put 2 L's on it, like when you spell the name out, but I'm just saying. Just for anybody Darnell come across this, you know what I'm saying? And the enemy who sowed them is the devil, and the harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are the messengers. As the darnel then is gathered and burned in the fire, so it shall be at the end of this age. What did you say?
43.
The son of Adam shall send out his messengers, and they shall gather out of his reign all the stumbling blocks and those doing lawlessness, and shall throw them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous shall shine forth as the sun in the reign of their Father. He who has ears to hear, let him hear.
Okay, very good. So we see that he kind of breaks down this whole thing with the tares, and where we see that and remember he's saying these two things together: the idea of the sower, throwing his seed and it landing various places, and also in the same situation talking about the sower who's sowing his seed where he wants it to be. And then somebody coming behind him, the wicked one, and putting their seed right next to the one that was sown by the sower, right? And so he sits there and says who's who, and talks about the fact that, when the harvest that is in fact the end of the age comes, he's going to gather up those tares and bundle them all together and put them in the place where tares go and burned up, right? In the furnace. And then now the righteous shall shine as the sun, because they won't have these tares to block their shine. Okay, lastly, I just wanted to just think about 44. Let's end with Matthew 13:44, because he says 44 and also 45 and 46, which really is the same thing, but I want to just look at 44 and kind of end on that note. Verse 44. Can you read that for us?
Yeah. Again, the reign of the heavens is like treasure hidden in a field, which a man having found it, hid, and for joy over it, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field.
You know what? Read 45 and 46.
Again, the reign of the heavens is like a merchant seeking fine pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of a great price, he went and sold all that he had and bought it.
Okay, very good. So it's interesting when we think about the kingdom is like, right? The kingdom is like this treasure that's hidden in the field. He finds this treasure that's in the field, and then he sells all that he has so he could buy the field. Right? And then the other one, where it's talking about this person that's looking for these pearls, he found one pearl, and then he sold all that he has in order to buy it. And so when we think about Yeshua, he's talking about himself here. Right? He's that one where he has an idea for this treasure, right, that he finds in this field. But then he buys, he gives everything that he has in order to purchase the field. So now he owns everything in the field. But he don't want everything in the field though. He don't want everything in the field, he just wants the treasure though. But he buys up the whole field. He owns everything. He gave up everything in order to own everything, but he don't want everything. He just wants the treasure. Huh? That's Yeshua, right? He paid a price and he bought up everything. But he don't want everything. It's like one of them estate sales. I go buy the house, I'll pick and choose the stuff I want. The rest going out with the trash. But he's this man who owns everything. He owns everything. Everything's owned by him. But he don't want everything that's theirs. He gave everything that he had in order to purchase this field. But he don't want everything in the thing. When we think about what it is that Messiah has done, he gave his whole life for his people. Right? But in that act that he did, he purchased a lot of things at the same time. And so there's more than just his people that's going to be able to benefit. Because he bought the whole field in the act that he did. And when he's in that field, he's going to find other treasures probably. He's probably going to find other things that he wants to keep. And he's going to keep those things, but he don't want everything in the field.
Nope.
He just told us that that field, the kingdom is like this field. Where there's good things in the field and there's bad things in the field. There's things that he wants and there's things that he don't want. And the thing about it that's so great is the fact that we don't have to wonder what it is that the Most High likes, because he tells us what he likes.
Yep.
That's not a mystery. If we have a desire to understand what it is that he thinks is good, he already told us what it is. We don't need to have some kind of revelation. We don't need for the skies to part open and a big message to come out and the clouds form into some words. He already told us what he likes. All we got to do is look over into his word and see what it is. And understand that he gave his everything to purchase us. He spent a great price. He paid a great price for this treasure. And that treasure is you and I. And so it's interesting when we look at these parables here, and not even just one of them, but all of them together, how they kind of add to the idea that's been expressed here by Messiah when we look at all of these things, right? Whether we're talking about the sower and the seed, or we're talking about this great treasure, which his people is actually a peculiar treasure, right? And so when we think about this kingdom of heaven, this kingdom of Elohim, the main thing that Messiah propagates in his ministry, he speaks in these parables, to all that are able to listen, and again, the ones who desire to understand what it is that the Messiah is saying. Really, they're the ones who the secrets are then revealed to his people, right? All right, so that being said, does anybody have any last questions, comments before we go ahead and be done here with dealing with?
Yeah, I did. I think, okay, so I can see how, I guess, Luke didn't have all of these extra things, right?
Yes, Luke had the least.
Probably because he wasn't there for the like the disciples kind of got the insider.
Well, he wasn't there, but Mark wasn't there either. But Mark was a disciple of a disciple.
So I'm saying that some people didn't get the extra, this was like the, extra credit.
Yeah, because
He didn't tell all the people, this is when they went back to the house.
yeah,
They got some extra parables.
they got the insider scoop.
They got extra
And
parables.
so the people that may have been there and heard him say what he said, they didn't get the meaning part.
Yeah.
But the ones who was on the inside, Matthew, and like I said, Mark would have got it too because Mark was a disciple of the disciples. Then he had this insider information. Yes, he was a Patreon member. Yes. Yes. There is a lot. These groups together are a chunk of parables altogether. But for the most part, whenever Yeshua spoke, he spoke parabolically. And so there's many places, even just thinking about Yeshua speaking, where he's speaking in parables. So the exact number, I do not know. But it's a lot.
Is there any parables in John?
I think so. I think there is. But later. What we're looking at with the words of the master is kind of in order as it's happening. So John, we talked about this at home a little bit. John is absent a lot because the things that are similar in John to the other gospels is kind of few and far between because John has another motive with his gospel. And so Matthew, Mark, and Luke are basically giving you kind of a play-by-play type of a situation of the life of Messiah, where John is really telling you why it is that Messiah came and what he came to do, as opposed to actually what he did blow for blow. All right, very good questions. All right, so that being said, I think we will be done for now. Talking about this, y'all willing, we will be, oh, yes. Go ahead.
Were houses today at this time?
Say that again.
Were houses today at this time?
Houses. Oh, yes, there was many houses. They look different, but there were houses, yes. Place they live, people gotta live somewhere. When it rains, they didn't live out in the rain.
We got one question in the comment. It says, was this all to gather people and believe?
I think that the miracles that Messiah performed was the thing that was used to gather people, just like a catch-all kind of dragnet kind of a situation. I think that was the thing that was used to gather the people. And then now, the weed out, so the parables really, when you think about it, the parables probably is meant to chase away people. The parables. The people come and they sing. The reason why they came was to see these miracles that Yeshua performed. And then once they get there, they hear him talking this mumbo jumbo about sowers and whatnot, and it's like, I didn't come for this. And so the people who really wanted it stayed, but the people who didn't want it, they leave. So the miracles is the dragnet. It's a catching everything. They pull the net into the boat, And then once you get it in there, you take the fish that you like, you put that over there, and then the stuff that you don't like, the rocks and the cans and the bottles and all that stuff get thrown off to the side, right? And so the parables, I'm saying, is not the gathering part. The parables is the weeding out the things that you've gathered part, I would say.
I know that if I go and I wanna learn something, and if somebody is talking stuff that I'm just not even able to understand, I'm gonna probably try to learn from someone else.
Yes. Right, because even in this, now see, Messiah there, he's the master teacher, right? So when you think about him speaking, it takes patience to be able to even to learn in this way, because you're going to tell it to me one way, and then it's going to cause me to have to think about it. I got to think. He causes you to kind of learn for yourself a little bit, and then from the things that you're not able to gather your own self, you'll go back and say, well, I didn't really get it. Can you explain a little more? And then the thought process, again, from a cultural standpoint, this is how they learn. They learn from asking questions and answering questions. It was a way of learning. Like, so even when you think about the idea of speaking in a parable, he's not telling you straight away what is what. He's stimulating your situation, causing you to desire to, first of all, think about it, and then if you can't think about it, now you're coming back with more situations, more questions, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that being said, we are going to be done for now. Y'all willing, we'll be back on next Shabbat to talk more about Yeshua and the words of the Master. For now, we'll say Shabbat Shalom.